You know what most people get wrong about greatness? They think it just happens. They see someone winning championships, running billion-dollar companies, or standing on stage with thousands of people cheering, and they think, wow, they're so lucky. But let me tell you the truth. Greatness is never an accident. It's not some magical gift you're born with. It's not a lottery ticket. It's earned, brick by brick, on the days nobody's watching. Think about it. Every single person you admire didn't just stumble into success. They worked for it when it was boring, when it was lonely, when it was painful. They kept going, when every voice in their head screamed, "Stop, this is too hard." And that's the difference. That's why so many people quit halfway. Because greatness doesn't feel great while you're working for it. It feels exhausting. It feels uncertain. But the ones who push through, they're the ones you call overnight success later. Here's the part most people don't want to hear. You can have excuses or you can have greatness, but you can't have both. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. You've got to decide right now, are you going to settle for average because it's comfortable? Or are you willing to go through the messy, unsexy, lonely grind that greatness demands? Mel Robbins always says, you're never going to feel like it. Stop waiting to feel ready, because you'll never be ready. And she's right. You don't wait for motivation, you act, and motivation shows up after you move. You want to be great? Then stop looking at the finish line and start showing up for the work nobody claps for. Because that's where greatness is born. In the quiet, unglamorous, behind-the-scenes moments where you choose to keep going anyway. Everybody wants the win, but nobody wants to talk about what happens before the win. You know what I'm talking about, right? We scroll through social media, we see the pictures, the cars, the trophies, the smiles, and we think, wow, they made it overnight. And that's one of the biggest lies we've all bought into, the myth of overnight success. Let me tell you something, there is no such thing. There never was. You see someone crushing it today, and you think they just woke up one morning, and boom, success. No. What you didn't see were the years of invisible work. The nights where they stayed up late, doubting themselves, wondering if any of it was worth it. The mornings they woke up at 5 a.m. while everyone else was still asleep, just to squeeze in one more hour to get better. That's the stuff nobody posts about. And yet that's where greatness is actually built. Think about every success story you know. Oprah wasn't handed her career. She got fired from her first television job. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs, thrown out of the very company he built. These people didn't get lucky. They built their greatness by putting in work day after day, when nobody believed in them yet. They didn't wake up to applause. They woke up to silence and showed up anyway. And this is what separates those who win from those who don't. Most people see someone successful and think, well, I could do that too if I had the right connections, if I had money, if I had luck. No, that thinking is your brain protecting you from the truth. It's not luck you lack, it's consistency. Here's what Mel Robbins always says. You aren't going to feel like doing the work. Stop waiting to feel motivated. You have to make yourself move. That's the secret every so-called overnight success already knows. They didn't wait for motivation. They created it by doing one hard thing at a time. They started when they weren't ready. They kept showing up when no one cared. And eventually, people noticed. That's when everyone points and says, wow, they came out of nowhere. No, they didn't. You just weren't paying attention while they were grinding in the dark. You've got to get this through your head. Overnight success is just a story people tell to make it seem easier than it is. Why? Because hard work isn't glamorous. It's not Instagram worthy. Nobody posts themselves failing 50 times before they get it right. But that's how success works. Fail, adjust, fail again. Push forward, repeat. You think greatness is a straight line? No, it's a messy back and forth grind, where you want to quit almost every day but don't. So here's the question. Are you willing to stop buying into the myth and start building your own truth? Because if you're waiting for that one lucky break, you're going to be waiting forever. Mel Robbins says, you are one decision away from a completely different life. That means one decision to stop comparing yourself to other people and start doing the work. One decision to show up when it's boring, when it's frustrating, when it feels pointless. Because those are the moments that actually create greatness. Your success won't be an overnight thing, and that's a good thing. Because what you build slowly, with grit and sweat, is what lasts. That's how you create a life worth living, one day, one decision, one action at a time. Hard work is not pretty. It's not glamorous. It's not the kind of thing you post about on Instagram. Because let's be real, nobody claps for you when you're sitting alone at your desk at 2 a.m. Your eyes burning, wondering if what you're doing will ever pay off. But that right there, that's the grind. That's what greatness is actually built on. Not talent, not luck, not shortcuts. It's built on the pain and discipline most people are simply not willing to endure. You think greatness feels good while you're chasing it? No. Most days it feels like you're running uphill with no air in your lungs. You're going to question yourself. You're going to want to quit more times than you want to keep going. And that's normal. That's the cost of building something extraordinary. It hurts. But here's the thing most people don't understand. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is proof that you're pushing yourself past the limits where most people stop. I want you to think about this for a second. Every legendary athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every artist you admire, they all have one thing in common, a ridiculous amount of discipline. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest because he felt like practicing every day. He did it because he decided to. He showed up after being cut from his team. He showed up when no one was watching, and he kept showing up until he couldn't be ignored. That's what discipline looks like. Doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. And this is where most people fall apart. They confuse motivation with discipline. They say, I'll do it when I feel like it. Guess what? You're never going to feel like it. Mel Robbins says it all the time. You're never going to feel like it. So stop waiting. Push yourself. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it hurts when you build it. That pain you feel, that's growth. That's change happening. Think about those moments when you're tempted to stop, when you've worked a 10-hour day, and the last thing you want to do is put in another hour on your dream. That's the moment that defines you. That's when you either choose comfort or choose greatness. Because the truth is, most people don't fail because they're not talented enough. They fail because they're not willing to push through the boredom, the pain, the repetition it takes to master something. And yes, it's lonely. Your friends might not get it. Your family might not get it. They might even tell you to slow down, to live a little. But you know what? That discipline, that willingness to keep grinding when no one else does, that's what separates you from everybody else. Mel Robbins says you have to stop hesitating and start acting. That means stop negotiating with yourself every morning. Stop hitting snooze on your goals. Just do it, because your future self is counting on you. Here's what I want you to understand. Greatness is never handed out freely. It's rented, and rent is due every single day. And that rent? It's paid in discipline and pain. You can either embrace it now and build the life you want, or avoid it and live with the pain of regret later. The choice is yours. Greatness has a price tag most people aren't willing to pay. Everyone says they want to be successful, but when it comes to sacrificing what's comfortable, that's where most stop. Because sacrifice, it's not fun. It means missing the party everyone else is at. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means getting up early when everyone else is still sleeping. And let me tell you something. If you want average, keep doing what's easy. But if you want greatness, you're going to have to give up some things you love right now for the life you want later. You think champions love every single early morning? You think entrepreneurs love every single late night? Of course not. They don't do it because it's fun. They do it because they're building something bigger than comfort. They're chasing a vision so strong, it pulls them through the pain of sacrifice. Yeah. That's why they win. Yeah. And yes, it's going to feel lonely sometimes. You'll look around and see your friends living what looks like the good life. Vacations, Netflix binges, weekends with no plans but fun. Meanwhile, you're grinding, tired, pushing yourself when no one's clapping for you. You might even question, is this worth it? Yeah. And that's the exact moment you have to remind yourself why you started. Because every sacrifice you make now is an investment in a future version of you who will thank you later. Mel Robbins says it best. Stop hitting the snooze button on your life. You are robbing your future self every time you choose what's easy over what's necessary. That hits hard because it's true. Every time you choose to stay comfortable instead of pushing forward, you delay your own greatness. Look, sacrifice isn't forever. It's temporary. But the rewards, they're lasting. The person who's willing to sacrifice today can live a life tomorrow that most people can only dream about. That means sometimes skipping the night out so you can wake up and work on your dream. It means maybe you're eating simple meals so you can save money to invest in yourself. It means turning off the TV to read, learn, and grow. It's these small, unglamorous choices that add up. But here's the key: don't romanticize. It's not going to feel good in the moment. There will be days when you're tired, when you feel like you're missing out, when you want to throw in the towel. That's normal. Mel Robbins says, you're one decision away from a completely different life. That one decision might be as simple as saying, no, I'm not going out tonight because I've got work to do. And people might laugh. They might not understand. They might even doubt you. But one day, when you've built the life they wish they had, when you've achieved what they said you couldn't, you'll look back and say, yeah, it was worth every single sacrifice.
Yeah.
Greatness doesn't come without a cost. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Success starts here, in your mind. Before the world ever sees your greatness, you have to see it yourself.
Oh.
That's the secret nobody talks about. People think success is about talent, or luck, or being in the right place at the right time. But the truth? It's mental. It's about what you believe when nobody else does. It's about how strong your mind is when life tries to break you down. Here's what most people don't get. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not to make you successful. It's designed to avoid pain, to avoid risk, to stay comfortable. That's why when you decide to do something big, that little voice kicks in and says, this is scary. What if you fail? What if you look stupid?
Yeah.
What if it doesn't work? And most people listen to that voice. They back down before they even try. But mental toughness, that's about recognizing that voice and moving anyway. It's about taking action while you're scared. Mel Robbins says it best. You're never going to feel like it.
Yeah.
You're never going to wake up one day magically motivated to chase your dreams. You have to make yourself move. That means when your brain tells you to quit, you say nope, not today, and you take that step anyway.
Yeah.
Mental toughness is built, not given. You build it every time you push through something hard. Every time you do the workout you don't want to do. Every time you show up to work when you'd rather hide under the covers. Every time you choose to focus on what you can control, instead of complaining about what you can't. Those tiny decisions, that's how you wire your brain to be resilient. And resilience is everything.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, life is going to hit you hard. You're going to fail. You're going to hear
Yeah.
no more times
Yeah.
than you want. People will doubt you, criticize you, and some will even laugh at you. And in those moments, your mindset decides everything.
Yeah.
You can either let it break you or build you. Think about it. Every successful person has been rejected, embarrassed, and knocked down. The difference? They got back up one more time than they fell. That's mental toughness. That's believing in yourself even when nobody else does. That's choosing to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. Mel Robbins says, you have to stop hesitating and start acting. That's the power of mindset. It stops being about feelings and starts being about decisions. You can't control how you feel every day, but you can control what you do about it. And when you decide to act regardless of how you feel, that's when you become unstoppable. So if you want greatness, you have to start with your mind. Visualize what you want every day. Surround yourself with people who push you, not drain you. And most importantly, catch that negative voice the second it shows up and replace it with action. Because your brain will try to talk you out of greatness. Don't let it win. You know why all the pain, all the late nights, all the sacrifices are worth it? Because when you push through, when you keep going, even when everything in you wants to stop, you create something most people will never experience. Not the fake kind. Not the look at me kind. I'm talking about the deep, quiet pride of knowing you earned this. That you didn't quit when it was hard. That you showed up for yourself. Greatness is not just about the trophies, the money, or the spotlight. Those things fade. What doesn't fade is who you become along the way. When you push past your own limit, you start to see yourself differently. You realize, wait a second, I'm capable of more than I thought. That feeling, that's priceless. That's why it's worth it. And let me tell you something. Your story doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Maybe you're not chasing millions. Maybe you just want to be the best parent you can be, the best at your craft, the best version of you. That's still greatness. Because greatness isn't about being better than everyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. But here's the truth. Most people never feel that pride because they quit before they get there. They choose what's easy over what's meaningful. They take shortcuts, and shortcuts feel good in the moment. but they rob you of that deep satisfaction later. Mel Robbins says, stop robbing your future self. Do what needs to be done now, so you can have what you really want later. There's a reason ordinary people become legends. It's not luck, it's because they kept showing up long after others gave up. They chose pain over comfort, growth over ease, discipline over distraction, and now they live a life most people dream about. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, 5 years from now, looking back on today and thinking, thank God I didn't quit. Thank God I pushed through. That version of you is waiting. That version of you has the life you want, the peace you want, the freedom you want, but you have to earn it. Nobody's handing it to you. Mel Robbins said, you are one decision away from a completely different life. That decision might be as simple as doing one hard thing today, one phone call, one workout, 1 hour of focus, 1 day of not quitting. Stack enough of those decisions together, and suddenly, you wake up one day and realize you've built a life worth living. That's why it's worth it. Because you're not just building success, you're building you, and that version of you, the one who's strong, disciplined, resilient, unstoppable. That's who you've been chasing all along. All right, let's wrap this up the way you deserve to hear it. You've been sitting here listening, maybe even feeling that fire start to spark inside you. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, I get it. But where do I even start? Here's the truth. You don't start tomorrow. You don't start when you feel ready. You start right now. Because every second you wait is another second you're handing your life over to fear, to procrastination, to the part of your brain that wants comfort over greatness. Mel Robbins says, you are one decision away from a completely different one decision. That's, you don't need to figure out the next year or the next 5 years. You just need to decide what you're willing to do today. One action, one push, one moment where you stop thinking and start moving. And here's what I want from you. Don't just listen and scroll away like nothing happened. I want you to commit right now to one thing you're going to work harder on starting today. Maybe it's your health, your business, your relationships, or even just showing up for yourself in a way you haven't been. I want you to drop it in the comments. Say it out loud, write it down, declare it. Because when you say it publicly, you start to hold yourself accountable. And if this hit you, if something inside you is saying, yes, this is my moment, then don't just leave. Subscribe right now, because this isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning. Every video I create is about pushing you forward, pulling that greatness out of you, and reminding you that you're capable of more than you think. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let this just be another video you watched and forgot about? Or are you going to take action and own your life? Drop that one thing in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let's do this together. You quote then sitting here listening, maybe even feeling that fire start to spark inside you. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, I get it. But where do I even start? Here's the truth. You don't start tomorrow. You don't start when you feel ready. You start right now. Because every second you wait is another second you're handing your life over to fear, to procrastination, to the part of your brain that wants comfort over greatness. Mel Robbins said, you are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision. That's it. You don't need to figure out the next year or the next 5 years. You just need to decide what you're willing to do today. One action, one push, one moment where you stop thinking and start moving. And here's what I want from you. Don't just listen and scroll away like nothing happened. I want you to commit right now to one thing you're going to work harder on starting today. Maybe it's your health, your business, your relationships, or even just showing up for yourself in a way you haven't been. I want you to drop it in the comment. Say it out loud, write it down, declare. Because when you say it publicly, you start to hold yourself accountable. And if this hit you, if something inside you is saying, yes, this is my moment, then don't just leave. Subscribe right now. Because this isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning. Every video I create is about pushing you forward, pulling that greatness out of you, and reminding you that you're capable of more than you think. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let this just be another video you watched and forgot about? Or are you going to take action and own your life? Drop that one thing in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let's do this together. You've been sitting here listening, maybe even feeling that fire start to spark inside you. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, I get it, but where do I even start? Here's the truth. You don't start tomorrow. You don't start when you feel ready. You start right now, because every second you wait is another second you're handing your life over to fear, to procrastination, to the part of your brain that wants comfort over greatness. Mel Robbins says, you are one decision away from a completely different life. One decision. That's it. You don't need to figure out the next year or the next 5 years. You just need to decide what you're willing to do today. One action, one push, one moment where you stop thinking and start moving. And here's what I want from you. Don't just listen and scroll away like nothing happened. I want you to commit right now to one thing you're going to work harder on starting today. Maybe it's your health, your business, your relationships, or even just showing up for yourself in a way you haven't been. I want you to drop it in the comments. Say it out loud, write it down, declare it. Because when you say it publicly, you start to hold yourself accountable. And if this hit you, if something inside you is saying, yes, this is my moment, then don't just leave, subscribe right now. Because this isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning. Every video I create is about pushing you forward, pulling that greatness out of you, and reminding you that you're capable of more than you think. So, what's it gonna be? Are you gonna let this just be another video you watched and forgot about? Or are you gonna take action and own your life? Drop that one thing in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let's do this together.